What's up, what's up, what's up, what's up, guys? Oh man, it's a great day. It's a great day. Welcome back to another episode of the Success Series. This week we gonna switch it up, right? I'm not in my usual location, and I got my boy Kevin with me, and he's gonna help me deliver these three nuggets to you guys this week. We came together and we realized that there were some books in common that we both had read, and I was like, dude, let's collab on something. So this is what we're doing this week. So this week we have the book The Slight Edge by Jeff Olson, and this book is amazing. And I'm gonna tell you guys how I came across this book. And it's actually because of Kevin. I remember I came into Ramstein, and I overheard him talking to a group of people about the book. And the people, they were interested, right? But it was like, after they left the conversation, it was done. But I came over and I asked him after he had finished the conversation, hey, what was that? What were you talking about? And he was talking about the slight edge. He said he was talking about the slight edge, and the energy that he had when he was talking about it. I knew this was a book that really, truly impacted his life, right? And at that time, I was looking for something to help me get to the next level. And I'm not gonna lie, guys. This book right here, The Slight Edge. If you don't read any other book that I've talked about, you need to read this book because it will definitely change the way you go about life and the way you go about thinking about what's your next move and what's the best thing to do. So yeah, Kevin, go ahead, man.
And Jay, I appreciate the introduction. And it's funny, you got the idea to read this book for me, and I will tell you that I actually got the idea to read this book from another friend of mine who I want to actually give a shout out to today, Clyde Smith. In case anybody watches college basketball, my man used to play for Texas Christian University, and so some things happened, most likely unfortunate events, and he stopped playing, came into the Air Force, and we linked up back at Beale Air Force Base in California, and we're getting into conversation about books, and he mentions The Slight Edge to me and told me that it was a phenomenal book. Funny thing is, he hadn't even gotten all the way through it yet, and so just by him getting through enough and being able to pass the information on to me, with no hesitation, I picked up the book, read it, and that was 4 years ago. And so I can tell you that between then and now, I've read well over 100 books. And when people ask me, hey, Kev, you read a lot of books, man, what do you recommend? This book right here, it is by far the best book I've ever read. And I'll tell you, I read a lot of books on different topics, leadership books, real estate, taxes, you name it, whatever I'm interested in, I pick it up, I read it. But as a generally speaking book that I determine as the best book is definitely this one because it applies to every aspect of life. And so that being said, man, let's do what you do best, and let's get into these nuggets.
Let's jump right in. So you guys know how this works. 3 nuggets, right? We're going to give you 3 nuggets from the book, encouraging you to actually go out, get this book, pick it up and read it, and change lives, man. We're trying to change lives. And just remember that your life changing does not have to be a complete 180, right? As long as we're moving a few degrees every time towards the best route, we're doing something positive and we're doing something necessary. So definitely, let's get into these 3 nuggets, man. Kevin, let's do it.
All right, so let me hand you this back, man. So hey guys, the first nugget that I want to introduce, and I thank Jay for allowing me the opportunity to be the one to present these nuggets to you. The first one is what I deem as the core of the book, It's the success failure curve. And so I brought a little chart to kind of give you a visual of what this curve is and what it entails. So basically, you have what we know from going through school, exponential growth, and then going down is an exponential decay, right? So two different curves. And what this graph depicts is the fact that everything that you do in life from one day to the next is going to depict which curve you're on. So basically, it may not look like much happening in the beginning of time. You know, maybe we eat a cheeseburger today. Of course, I'm not going to fall out and have a heart attack later this evening. I can eat cheeseburgers every day, and I'm not going to have a heart attack next week, not even next year, right? But as we continue on with, and this is just one aspect of it, right, with our diet we're talking at this point, I continue to eat these cheeseburgers every day, and it's definitely put me on this failure curve. And so as time goes on, nothing much is happening. But then as I get older, maybe in 10, 15, 20 years, that's when that heart attack comes, all right? Or we take working out, for instance. If I want to gain a little muscle mass, I'm not going to be able to hit the gym and see a little bit of cut the next day or even the next month. But if I continue on and not paying attention to the immediate impact, lo and behold, as we get further down this line, I'm putting myself on a success curve and I'm rising to the next level without even noticing the work that I'm putting into it.
Yeah, definitely. This is so very important, guys, because a lot of times we seem to think very short term, right? We're thinking about the instant gratification, what we can get now, what we can do right now. But this basis of the book is telling us that it's so important to keep a long-term vision, right? Of course, we don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. Of course, we don't know if we're going to wake up tomorrow. But in order to plan ahead, right, be successful in the future, we must do things now that are going to create success for us tomorrow. And the thing is, if you keep a long-term mindset, right, if you can get out of the weeds and look through and see the vision, right, see 5 years down, see 10 years down, and you make your actions applicable for what's going to happen in the future, for what you want to happen in the future, then that's when we see these exponential growths and decays, right? I tell a lot of my friends, we will see who put in work in their 20s when we go to the high school reunion, right? When we go to the 10-year, when we go to the 25-year, right? Because right now, everybody is trying to live their best life. And living your best life, I really don't like when people say that because it implies immediate gratification, right? When people say YOLO and things of that nature. And because of that, you have satisfaction right now, you have happiness right now, which is temporary, right? Because we're aiming for joy. And you have certain things right now. But what happens when you're 30? What happens when you're 40? What happens when you're 67 and you can't retire, right? All of those things relate back to what Kevin just explained about the exponential growth and decay. What you're doing right now, this day, matters, maybe not for tomorrow, but you can take actions right now that you won't see the payoff until next year, 2 years from now, 3 years from now, right? And the thing is, you don't need to stop doing it just because you're not seeing the repercussions of it early or in your time frame, right? Your time frame most likely is too soon, right? Most likely is the best case scenario, and that's just not how a lot of things work out. So that was the first nugget, right? So go ahead
And so, Jay, before we press to the next nugget, I'd like to add that it's really synonymous with what Albert Einstein coined as the eighth wonder of the world, compound interest, right? So basically, something that we're not seeing in the immediate near term, it may discourage us from continuing forward, right? We may feel like, you know what, oh, this is not working, or I'm not getting where I need to be, but then we need to not focus on, like you said, the instant gratification, and have more of a mentality of delayed gratification. And so as we push through these next couple of nuggets, understand that this applies to every facet of your life, right? We're talking personal development, career, your health, your finances. So everything that you could think of, really these concepts apply towards to where if you're just taking minimal steps every day and not being concerned about the instant result, you're going to see long-term gratification on the back end. All right, so let's jump into the next nugget, Jay. This next nugget I feel is it's going to come off as something everybody's like, yeah, okay, I know, discipline. Discipline, and in this book, what it entails is being able to see through the eyes of time, right? And we've already kind of hit on that, right? So basically, understanding the fact that we all have 24 hours in a day, 168 hours in a week, right? But I will tell you that something that Warren Buffett is doing in his 24 hours a day is allowing him to become one of the richest, wealthiest men in the world versus what I'm doing. That's causing me to be where I am today, right? We have Usain Bolt. You know, we got the same 24 hours in a day, but something he's doing is different than what I'm doing. And so it just goes to show that if you're staying dedicated towards something, what you do and how you utilize your time on a daily basis is going to determine where you are in the future. Yeah, so
Definitely. And one thing I definitely want to put out to clarify, right? Just because you are busy during your day does not mean you are productive. It does not mean it at all. So you could be awake for 18 hours and be busy for the whole 18 hours, right? Because busy is very subjective, right? Oh, I'm busy, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, right? But I could be awake for 18 hours and be productive for 4. And that 4 hours puts me leaps and bounds ahead of you because you thought your busy was productive, but it wasn't, right? A lot of times we say we're busy, but we're not doing the things that we need to do in order to achieve our dreams and our goals, right? We're busy because we're putting that off. We're filling up that time with other things, right? So you have to be disciplined and know that, one, you have to know yourself, right? If I'm a person that when it gets late, I don't want to do anything, then I know that I need to get up. And in the beginning of the day, whenever your day starts, in the beginning of the day, I need to be productive in those first hours, right? I have that energy. So do not confuse busy with productive because they are two separate things. And when you are really productive, you will start to see those benefits down the line, and you will start to see yourself change mentally and physically down the line.
And I'm glad you mentioned that point, man. That brings me to another point where, you know, I'll tell people, hey, you know, how are things going financially or health-wise, in the gym, career-wise? And a lot of time, of course, it takes effort, right? But the first thing a lot of people are quick to throw out is, I don't have time. You know, man, you should check out this book, or you should look at this this blog, or check this video out that's going to help benefit your life. And I don't have time. It's always the first excuse, right? And that's just what it is, an excuse. And don't get me wrong, we are all busy. We are all busy, right? We have significant others. We have jobs that are pulling away at us. We have kids. We have, you know, 1,000,001 things, right? But don't get me wrong, you dedicate your time towards what you feel is important. So if you deem yourself too busy and not having time, you basically deem this particular point as not important enough for me to, you know, to carve out time in my schedule to accomplish. So let's jump into the third nugget. And man, this one is very simple. It's very simple, but it is what's going to allow you to basically jump leaps and bounds. I like that terminology that you use, ahead of all others. And the third nugget is It's two simple words. Step up. Step up. And what that basically entails is once you determine, we'll just say, hey, you know what, I want to go to school. I want to take some college courses. And I've been dragging my feet. I know that I need to get enrolled in these courses, but you haven't done so. It's been 6 months. It's been 2 years, what have you. We know that if you just simply sign your name to the course, you stepped up, you showed up. You basically showing up. Now that you've assigned yourself to this course and this kicked off, you're not just going to fall back and be like, well, you know what, I really don't want to do this. I'm not even going to push forward with the classes and the coursework. I'm just going to accept this failure. No, right? You shown up, so that's 50% of the battle, right? If I say, hey, you know what, I need to get back in the gym. I'm going to start going to the gym on Monday. I've been dragging all these, weeks and months, but then I dug up the courage, the motivation to get my clothes together, step foot in the gym. I've shown up. That's half the battle. I'm not going to show up and then feel like, you know what, on second thought, I'm going home. I don't feel like being here. Once you show up, that's half the battle, and you've already accomplished the motivation enough to get that ball rolling and to get that show on the road. So step up, show up, synonymous, basically just taking that first initiative to show up to the occasion, and you're already putting yourself above half the people in that population in any circumstance.
Yeah, definitely. I love this nugget, and it reminds me of sometimes I have to check myself, right? Sometimes I have to go look at myself in the mirror and I have to ask myself, Jay, are you doing everything that you could be doing right now, right? Everything that is in your control, are you doing those things? And if I'm not, then I go back, right? I go back to the drawing board and say, okay, I need to fix these things. And the way I fix them is I start, right? You have to start. That's the hardest part. I'm going to give you guys a quick story, right? 2020 has been a hell of a year. But for me, it's been a very good year. And it's been a good year because I've stepped outside my comfort zone so much. And that's because I had so much time on my hand, and I was, right, again, going back to the mirror, am I doing everything that I need to be doing? And I'll just give you guys a quick example, right? I have been planning to get into the stock market for 2 years before 2020. So back in 2018, I was like, I'm gonna get in this year. I'm gonna get in, I'm gonna buy some stocks. 2018 passed. 2019 came, I said, look, I'm gonna buy some stocks for Christmas. That's gonna be my Christmas gift. 2019 passed. And then 2020 came. And a lot of times, it's hard for us to start because of fear, right? We're afraid that if we start, if we commit, there's a possibility that we can fail. And we don't want to be put in that position. But the thing is, if you never start, you've already failed. You've already given up. Literally, if you don't start, there's zero possibility that you can ever get there. But if you start, now you have just raised the odds in your favor in order to get to a place, right? That does not mean that you won't ever fail at things that you start at. But just by starting, right, this is the thing, this is what happens. You either get to where you want to be, or you learn how to get there better. And I say you learn how to get there better because there's truly no failure as long as you don't quit. But you have to start. You have to start for there to be a possibility of the W. Right, so going back to the story, right, 2020 came along and I finally jumped in with coercion from friends and family. And guys, when I jumped in, I'm gonna tell you right now, the market is blessing me. The market is blessing me, and maybe this was just great timing too, right? Maybe this was just the right moment for me to jump in. But if I would have never jumped in, I would have missed out on an opportunity to be successful. And that's the nail right there, right? You don't want to miss out on opportunities that can take you to the next level, right? Because even if they're going to be uncomfortable, you're going to learn things throughout that process that are going to make you a better person, right? It's going to make you a better communicator. It's going to make you a better friend, a better family member, a better significant other, right? And then those things that you didn't do so well at, you can look back on, reflect back on those things, learn from them, and then now we have the tools to be successful at the next level, right? So you must start. You must show up. You must. And if you have something right now that you keep putting off, or that you keep saying it can wait, or you have time, I need you right now to stop saying that you don't have time. You don't have time, right? And I say you don't have time because no one knows when their last day is. But I always try to live in a way that if I were to die today, right, and I could somehow look back on my body and on my life, I don't have regrets. I don't have things that I say, you know what, I wish I would have cleared it up. I wish I would have signed up. I wish I would have committed better. I wish I would have did this better. Because I'm trying to do all those things right now. And the way you do that is you start. You have to start. You got to start, guys. They got to start.
That was beautiful, man. Man, guys, hey, life is not a spectator sport, right? It's a contact sport, very much so. And there are no practices. We in it from day one. We are in it from day one. So understand that concept, right? If you know you've been putting things off, realize which curve you're putting yourself on. Are you on an exponential growth or an exponential decay? All right. And for anybody that knows me, man, I love quotes, and so I'm gonna pull one from this book that he states. A lot of farmers say is you're either green and growing or ripe and rotting, but pick one because nothing living stays the same.
Nothing. Guys, thank you again for tuning in. Just to go back over the nuggets again, right? You're either on exponential growth or exponential decay, right?
Second one was just discipline. Discipline, being able to see through the eyes of time. Discipline.
And then the third one, showing up. You have to start, because if you never start, you never have the opportunity to be successful, guys. Dude, I just thank you. Thank you so much. Welcome to the Success Series, guys. Thank you. Dude, this is amazing. I love it.